No plant goes unwatered.
We are in a water slide. We're at the top of the water slide right now, and all the kids are right here, and they're about to get pushed off.
Yeah, so we filmed on the top of a water slide.
Could you imagine? There's a person at the top like, yo, to all the kids.
We got a huge deal on the location. All we had to do was pause every 15 minutes for 5 minutes.
Started out too sweet to have you for my hand.
Hi, everybody. My name is Patrick McDonald.
And I'm Amanda Lehan-Canto.
And this is...
I Live in Your House Q&A.
We made a short film. It's called I Live in Your House. And we thought, because the response was so overwhelming, I think in a week and a half, we've gotten 275,000 views, which for me, a channel that has literally 40 subscribers.
Unreal.
Crazy. And for a short film, 15 minutes, which every festival told me was far too long.
Yeah.
We decided to get together and answer some questions because it garnered so many questions.
Yeah, and you guys, the support, the fan art, everything has been unbelievable.
It's been amazing. I can't express to you guys how sweet it's been, how cool it's been, how much you guys have liked it, how much discussion I've seen, people dissecting
theories,
what's actually happening, some fan theories.
And we're here right now in the location where we filmed I Live in Your House.
Right on the patio. Reed made it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi.
That's very scary.
Oh, yeah.
Hello?
Hey, how are ya?
T. No, it's coffee, bitch.
A little late for coffee. We can do it. No, we're not doing that here.
Well, we're outside, so you're going to hear some of the elements.
Yeah. Elements as in airplanes.
Elements as in airplanes. It's a wild ride out here.
But yeah, what's like a quick synopsis of this movie in case they haven't seen it and they're weirdly starting with this?
Quick synopsis. I would say it's a comedy horror.
That's correct.
But also, it's like definitely a thinking movie. And I would say it's a couple moves into a house and a man is walking around the neighborhood. He's the local neighbor. He goes on long walks and he kind of intrudes on their space. But he doesn't actually do anything. He just says,
I live in your house.
Yeah, we're really into this place.
Yeah, I live in your house.
You wish. You'd have to wrestle it from us.
I live there now. Very casual.
And
weird joke.
Weird
We've
joke.
all met some older dude that says some weird joke that you're like, were you joking?
And is like, oh, when'd you guys move in? Asks a little too many questions.
Yeah.
And then it causes the lead, which was me, to completely go into a spiral.
Yeah.
A complete breakdown because you say one thing and then you start to go, does he?
Yeah.
Is he here? No. Wait, is he? Huh? And then this person can't sleep and then her whole world turns upside down.
It's a movie about dealing with that thing that you can't do anything about, essentially.
Lack of control.
Lack of control. And what do you do with that thing if the only thing you can do is not think about it? But
you're going to think about it.
Something you want to think about.
You're going to think about it. And then you're going to think of all the scenarios that could possibly happen.
Exactly.
And then you're going to be like, oh, yeah, he does live in my house. And I have to find him.
It's not good for anybody.
No, it's not good for anybody. And then there's coyotes.
Yeah, of course. Coyotes is good. So we posted on Instagram, like, hey, we're going to do a quick Q&A. I got, I think, what's like 8 times 23?
I have no idea.
Okay. I got 8 times 23 questions.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's over 100.
Yeah, I think it's almost 200. Maybe it's more. Let us know in the comments. We're not gonna
Let us know in the comments the math of that. And subscribe to this page because it's this video and then it's I Live in Your House and then
it's an hour footage of a GoPro swimming in the ocean.
Yeah.
So that's about it.
But hey, wait till the end, because you're going to see a fish.
But guess what? You guys are on my channel and now I'm thinking of doing stuff.
Yeah,
so
that's really
exciting.
exciting.
Want us to do stuff, let us know.
Yeah,
Anyways,
let us know.
Here's a Q&A. We have some questions. We're going to get right to it.
Let's do it.
How did this idea come to be? I wrote this in 2020. There was something happening in 2020. It was called Tiger
COVID.
King. No.
Tiger King. Carol Baskin.
It was the pandemic.
Her husband's alive.
Yeah, it is. What a weird surprise, huh? I wrote this like deep in the pandemic, October 2020. There was really no end in sight. There was no answers. There was no vaccine. There was no nothing. And I was going on probably 8 to 12 mile walks every single day.
That's insane.
I would actually bike 25 miles during the day, and then at night I would go on a 3-hour walk.
I knew about the biking, but I didn't know about the walking.
Yeah, and one time, my first, I think, few weeks, I left the house, and I was just so wrapped up with everything that was going on, and I would just walk, and I walked. I was living in Studio City at the time, kind of by Laurel Canyon. Don't live there anymore. Don't try.
Don't try.
And I walked from there to the Hollywood Bowl, snuck into the Hollywood Bowl, sat in the Hollywood Bowl completely by myself, and listened to Simon and Garfunkel. And just like
what?
It was like no security, no anything, because everyone was
the
inside.
sound of silence.
Sound of silence.
That's incredible.
So I would just go on these big walks, and I was walking around once,
that.
and I was listening to Shirley Jackson. Shirley Jackson is an author that wrote The Lottery. It's a very famous short story. I was listening to a lot of her short stories. She wrote Haunting of Hill House, known for kind of birthing supernatural horror.
Yep.
And
there's a movie called Shirley.
Yes, there
with
is.
Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, there you go. Somebody knows something about Hulu.
Yeah. Hulu.
Hulu.
Hula hooping. It's the first word in hula hooping.
Hulu hooping. Why haven't they done anything with Hulu hooping?
I don't know.
So, Shirley Jackson is really well known for writing kind of stories that feel normal, but then there's something going on underneath that's really sinister. And there's one story that I read about this woman in a boarding house who was like, I need to confront this old woman who I think is stealing my things.
Oh, God.
And she goes, this old woman like keeps coming in and stealing stuff, and then they have this very polite conversation. She goes, yeah, someone keeps stealing my stuff. And the old woman is like, oh, I'm so sorry about that. I hope you find that person. She's like, I keep saying, so then the old woman is gone, and she goes into the old woman's room, and she finds all of her stuff.
Oh, no.
And then the old woman comes in. He's like, what are you doing? Oh, sorry. Jump scare.
Don't worry about that.
A valve broke.
We're on top of a water slide. I knew I would get that joke in there.
It's really good.
We're on top of a water slide, and we decided, you know what? It's cheap.
It's good.
It's cheap.
So the end of the Shirley Jackson's story is the woman goes into the old woman's room in the boarding house, looks for
sees all of her stuff.
Sees all of her stuff.
So she knew she was lying.
The old woman comes in and goes, what are you doing in here? And she goes, oh, I was looking for aspirin. And then she goes, okay. And the old woman gives her aspirin and goes, it's so nice to know we have such a great relationship where we can look into each other's things. Like basically being like, oh, what a relief. Isn't this so nice that like, I'm so glad you feel like you can come into my room. And it's so...
That is such creepy shit.
So
there's not much you need to say.
No, but
It's so sinister.
It's so unsettling and weird, and it's just like, who is this woman? And so I was reading that. I was listening to that. I read this book about coyotes. I was also watching I'll Be Gone in the Dark, the HBO series about the Golden
that
State
was
Killer.
a very, very spooky. And, the writer of that book died.
Yeah, exactly. And so... I was into some really crazy, weird, creepy shit at the time. And I was walking around these houses, and I found this house literally on Berry Drive in Studio City, this beautiful blue house on a hill. And I remember staring at this house and thinking, man, I love this house. I want to live in this house. This is my dream house. And I remember thinking, I was going on this huge, like, mental journey where I was like, oh my gosh, what if this person came out? I was like doing bits with myself because this was the pandemic. I was like, what if the person came out and I said to the person, and they were like, oh, hi. And I was trying to say, I love your house, but I accidentally said, I live in your house.
And the person, meanwhile, is in there watching you do these bits to themselves. And it's like, the pandemic is crazy.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I live in your house. I'll see you later. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's such a funny thing because that person would be so fucked up. And the reality of it is that I accidentally said some stupid thing. I missay things all the time.
Yeah.
My mouth is so far behind my brain. It's insane.
Yeah, it is.
So thanks so much.
It is.
Don't look at them.
I'm looking at the camera. We have a special relationship.
Oh, shut up. That's my camera. That's not fair.
Hello.
Is my camera seeing you
I live in
without
your
me?
house.
No, stop it. You don't live in my camera's house. That's my house. Regardless, I was like, oh, if I said that person would be like, oh, what? Does that person live in my house? And then I would go on. I imagined myself. See, I was really lost in the sauce. But then I imagined myself like moving on with my day. Just like every now and then you'll be in a conversation, somebody will say some insane thing, that person walks away, and you're like, what? And then you have to carry the weight of that conversation.
Yes, you're left with the weight, and you
Yes.
and you never get to really experience what the weight feels like on them unless you go back.
Exactly.
And so you took
So
it a
it's
step further.
So I was like, what if you get the chance to talk again, and then what if that person makes things even worse every single time? And then it became to be some more things. There was some deeper stuff. There was some
So that's kind of the origin
anxieties.
story.
That was the origin of the idea. I wrote it in October 2020. Full disclosure, sent it to a bunch of people being like, hey, do you guys want to do this? People would not be interested.
Their loss.
And it's actually a crazy thing. So then 2023, I was working at Smosh.
Yep.
I was leaving Smosh.
Yep.
I was talking to you. We were like, we should figure out something to do.
Yep.
I was like, I've always wanted to make a short film. You were like, I have people that make short films.
Yep.
Matt Kane.
Yep.
And Mark Underhill.
Incredible
people.
Thunder Cane
Productions. Matt was the DP. Mark was the
Producer.
first AD. Crafty.
So many things.
A million things. Incredible people. And I was like, I'll give you this short that I have. Nobody seemed to really want to make it. I made it for one of my friends. She was like, yeah, sure, if you have a team. And then I sent it to my friend Peter, who I actually turned it into like a male Valerie, which I wonder how that would work, because I always preferred it to be like a lesbian couple.
I don't know. I think it would change the entire story.
Yeah.
I think either he would write it off.
Yeah.
Or like do something to you.
It's not as threatening, right? I think men would just be
Weirdly.
like, come over here, pal.
Yeah.
Like it's like very different.
Like, fuck off.
Yeah, yeah. So
Whereas like, women are very, we're way smarter and we're way more intelligent.
correct.
So our brains go to all the different scenarios.
Yeah.
We are literally like, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, and it's the idea of like they're sitting ducks, and this guy is the presence of a man is inherently threatening.
Yeah.
Very frequently.
Yeah.
So just somebody being a little intrusive like that.
Yeah. It
You
would have
know.
changed the whole story.
It would have changed, but eventually you read it. You were like, I love this, and you put it into action.
Yep.
And you were like, let's do this.
Yep.
And that was like a huge thing. It means the world to me because it's a
I'm
weird
so
angle for me to
down.
touch you. But it means the world to me because I had this project that I was like, oh, I'll write it, and maybe I'll never do it. Something about me, I write a lot of stuff.
Yes, you do. You have
It
so
just
much
goes away.
stuff.
I don't have things that I sit like. I don't have things. If I write something and it doesn't get made, I just write another thing, and I write another thing until that thing gets made.
You have so
So,
much stuff that you write.
I don't go back to a lot of stuff, but there was something about this project that I always stuck with. And
When I read it, I was like, oh my God, because I get, you just told me that story about the boarding house, and I get so invested. I
Yeah.
get so excited. I also love horror movies. I love scary movies. I love thriller movies. And I feel like I know your brain and I know how funny it is. And when I was reading it, I was like, oh, I see the nuances. I see the comedy here. I want to play this person.
Yeah.
I want to go through this.
It was awesome. And you were perfect at it, and you were so good.
Thank you.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Come on, give it up.
man.
Everyone clap at your computer screen.
Hello?
Yeah, we're on a water slide. But yeah, I mean, you were like so good, and being able.
you.
We'll get into the process. I think, depending on whatever people.
Yeah,
ask.
whatever questions we have.
What did you eat on set?
Weird bagels. Chips.
Oh, and then I will say, I'll just say the budget really fast. I'll
Yeah.
explore it. I think on production itself, we spent about $4,000, and then I spent about $2,000 in post. And that's what it was to make that movie. We got this property for free thanks to a very, very generous friend. And we had a lot of friends who wanted to make something together. And
It was
so
unreal.
It was unreal. I have a rule that nobody does my vision for free, so I paid everyone a little bit of something,
Yeah.
except for you.
You paid me with love.
That's right. I'm gonna
You
pay
paid me with this project.
Oh my God,
There,
please.
if I believe in something, honestly, I will always do it for
Yeah,
free.
true.
If I believe in something, if I'm passionate about something, I will do it for free because I
Yeah.
got way more out of it than what? Like a fucking check for
Right.
$500, $400.
I agree. Well, also,
$40
yeah, that's
bucks.
true. And I will say, yeah, no one is a production assistant out of passion. That was my rule. I'm like,
Yeah, no. gotta pay the PA.
that's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my big rule. What difficulties did you face when acting and directing at the same time? This is a question for me.
Ooh, that's a good one.
We shot this in 2 days. by
Yeah,
the way.
one was overnight.
One was overnight, and all of my Reed scenes, I'm pointing over there because that's where the backyard fence is, were shot in a matter of, I think, 2 hours. I had to go. And that was a big thing. I never directed something I acted. For this character specifically, it was a lot easier because this character needed to have a little bit of something behind his eyes that we don't know what it is.
Yep.
So for me to be overwhelmed and for me to
it was actually
disassociate a little bit,
perfect.
yeah, it was a little like I'm staring at the camera because I'm trying to figure out if the camera's doing the right thing, but it caused you to be like, what's going on in his head?
Yeah, it caused you to be like, oh, he's coming up with a plan.
Yeah.
Did you know there's coyotes under your deck?
Yeah.
That, at least from my character, I
Yeah.
was like, he's coming up with a plan.
Yeah.
He's saying a lot of things without saying anything.
But yeah, I mean, especially for that too, when I was acting over there and they were shooting their scenes, I had to kind of let go and let God, if you
Yeah.
may. With
Wow,
Amanda and
let go
Angela,
and let
who
God.
Amanda and Angela I completely trust, but it was like, man, I hope it sounds good. I hope that's panning out.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get up here because we didn't have space.
You couldn't, you had to trust. You had to
Yeah.
like trust that those shots were good.
It's a lot of trust.
It's kind of insane to act and direct in your own thing.
It was really overwhelming. But the truth is, I'd never felt happier and more satisfied. There was a moment at the very end where we shot, I was barefoot in this yard down here, screaming and stuff. And we were doing a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. day. It hit 6 p.m. and everybody was around me. And like the gaffer and the sound guy and other PAs and people were just telling me different things to do, different like laughs or things to try. Like, ooh, do this, do that. Say Reed Wilhelm. Yeah, Reed Wilhelm. I live in your house. So we had all that stuff, and people were like, "Is it okay to go 15 more minutes?" I was like, "Yeah." They were like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Okay, that's success to me." Which is all of these people were doing me a favor by doing this already, and they want to stay over.
They knew it was good
to watch me.
Yep.
That felt really nice.
Hey! I live in your house. Find me! Hey, find me! I'm waiting. Come on. You haven't even gotten close.
Do you have a favorite scene, Amanda?
Ooh. Favorite scene.
There's a helicopter, by the way.
Yeah, hold for sound.
Hold for sound.
To be honest, I think my favorite scene was the beginning scene.
Really? The first scene?
I don't love cringy interactions in real life.
Yeah.
But I've had so many
Yeah.
that I kind of geeked out about getting able to perform a cringy scene, an interaction.
You're new, right?
Yeah, we just moved in.
We?
Oh, me and my wife.
Wife, very cool.
I loved that scene so much because
was
I
fun.
felt so connected to it, and I felt like I could really sit and settle in that one.
Yeah.
Like it was the first scene. It's T, and it was me having that moment of like a version of me, but then a version of me that went away, and Valerie took over. I will say that was my favorite scene to do. And then, of course, I loved the montage scenes of me searching for you in the house.
Oh, so good.
I love that shit.
So good.
It's so scary, but so fun.
It was so fun. I was going to say that first scene, too. I loved what you did in that scene specifically because it was important for me for that scene to be a normal moment in your day transforming into a moment that you have to make a phone call about, a moment that you think about,
Right.
a moment. So you start so normal, and the little interactions, the little eye stuff. There's this thing you do where I live in your house, and you go like, and that's one of my favorite things because it's like this like. And I remember us massaging that a lot.
Yeah, we were
because
like-
it was like we wanted it to be.
Huh?
You're kind of making fun of them as you're talking to them, but then they get the upper hand, and it was like really interesting.
It's that moment where you go, like, when movies show the end scene and someone's dead and you're like, how?
Yeah.
And it's that moment where you see like, oh, this is a normal thing. There's nothing that could go wrong. Oh.
Yeah.
You see that like little shift in her where she's like, is it possible?
Yeah. Wait, what is this?
And
This
you
is-
see
this
her-
is- I'm also like my small talk defaults have gone out the window. I
Exactly.
was autopilot in this conversation, and now I have to focus.
Yeah, and you see her guard go up,
Yeah.
but not enough to be rude. That's
Yeah.
what I love playing with.
Yeah.
It's like Her guard went up, but not enough to be rude.
I have a question for you, Amanda. Was this your first time doing a thriller or horror piece?
No.
What other horror stuff have you done?
I've actually done a horror movie with Matt Cain before. It's called Guilty. It was more of a thriller psychological one.
Okay.
And I did another horror called SLASHR, straight up called SLASHR.
Wow.
It was what we call a grinder horror. It was
Okay.
like a man goes because he broke up with his boyfriend and he goes on Grinder and shit goes awry.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm an Airbnb host.
Whoa.
And he's staying in my Airbnb, and he basically like asked this guy on Grinder to come over, but this guy on Grinder is not a good partner. And so I had to do a really intense scream.
Whoa.
And I learned a new thing that in order for me to have a blood curdling scream, which I was able to do, I have to jump up and down outside and get my adrenaline so high that the screams comes from this place of like pure panic and fear.
Yeah.
I learned that. I was like, screaming is, you can't just scream in a horror movie.
Wow.
For me, I had to come from a place of where I trick my body into thinking that, you know, when you slip down the stairs and you get a rush through your body of like adrenaline and it's fear?
Yeah.
So imagine that, but you see something, and then naturally, automatically, our voices produce a scream. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with this, but
It's so interesting, though.
I learned that, in order for me to do that, I have to like go run outside for a second and make it seem like I'm fucking scared. I can't just open the door because I had to there was a big revealing moment where I had to scream. But anyways, long story short, yes.
Can
I
we
have.
see those? Are those up somewhere?
Yes, we have. SLASHR is up. I can probably post it on my YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And link it to this video
You
if
should.
we want.
We'll do that.
Okay.
That sounds like a good idea.
Great.
That's really fun. I shot some college humor sketches back in the day that were like horror parodies.
Hell yeah.
And that's where I learned that a lot of shooting horror, because it was a Scream parody, and I was in a mask, and it was like a weird. I think it was like me being kind of like a cool, like woke feminist dude.
Oh God.
Also killer. I don't remember.
In a
quite
Scream
the genre,
mask?
yeah. But I learned how tedious it is to be those types of roles, where you're just like sitting in a hot mask, and then it's like after an hour, it's like an action. You go, and it's like really scary because I'm wearing a
Yeah.
mask, but my body is just going.
But you don't get to show your face.
No. Were the neon colors symbolism? So this is a big question I'm getting, and
I
there's a
love
lot
this
of theories.
question.
I don't want to give away too much because what I will say is that some of the theories are so fun, and seeing what it means for you. I've seen
Ooh.
people say this feels like straight people intrusion on queer culture, the way men insert themselves in lesbian relationships.
Ah!
I've seen this as a symbol for gentrification, for colonialism, for OCD, for paranoia, for schizophrenia. People are.
Unbelievable.
I am loving your theories. They're so
They're
exciting.
so
fun.
good.
They're all correct. I put all of that in there. I'm that good.
That's true.
It's so cool and it's exciting, and I think that's what's important about a movie. So I don't want to give too much away. But what I will say is, do you remember when I came up with those jumpsuits?
I remember. I know it, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing."
Because I was mostly inspired for Reed. What I will give away is the idea of like a poison dart frog or
Yep,
poisonous
the tree
animals.
frog.
The tree frog.
Yep.
Poisonous animals in nature because they give off bright warning colors, as in don't come near me. I'm dangerous. I'm poisonous. I also just loved the idea practically. We were shooting from so far away
Yep.
that I needed something to spark when you're seeing me from that far away.
And tell you different days.
Yeah.
The different days.
Yeah, so there is something, I will give this away. The order is important. So the yellow to orange to red to white was specifically important. I won't say much more than that.
I love this theory so
but
much.
I was thinking, like, what if Reed's jumpsuits are the same outfits? What if it was white the whole time?
No one's ever offered me that.
And what if she was seeing orange? What if she was seeing yellow?
See,
what if she was
that's-
seeing red?
That oh my God, that's so that correlates with so much. It's like when someone sees a witness,
Yeah.
they see what they feel.
Right.
They see fear,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, yeah, are those colors actually what he was wearing, Or was he wearing white the whole time as like surrender?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm surrendering right now. This is on you.
Yeah. We also got a lightly related question. Were there any alternate endings to the story you thought of? And yes, there's a whole scene we shot. I don't want to give it away. I would say that it is excommunicated as relevant to the story at all in any way.
Yeah. It's something new.
But I will say that I was wearing green in that. A full green jumpsuit.
Can you explain that?
I could, but I don't want to give that away.
Green.
Basically, it showed the front of the house. Reed walks up. There's a for sale sign. Reed looks down at the phone at the sign, types the numbers in a phone, and walks away.
Our house is put up for sale.
Yeah, but that's not true anymore. And when you don't put that in the movie, that means it didn't happen and it doesn't exist.
That's right.
But that scene was up there. That was a thought.
That was a thought.
Yeah, but I got a note from a dear friend, Ryan Finnerty, who said, you can only leave so much up for question. He was like, you can't just throw more questions in the bottom.
True.
Which was
That's
a really,
true.
really, really
So
great
we don't
note.
know.
We don't know. But the ending is the true ending. That ending was something we sampled and didn't like.
Uh-huh.
How long did it take to write? I will say it took, I think,
5 minutes.
I think it took a day. And a
I
half
was
to
going to
2
say,
days.
this feels like something that like burst out of
It
you.
came fast.
But
I will say the coyote monologue, we were changing up until
Yes.
the moment of.
Yes,
because
yes,
we
yes.
kept going back, and we had a rehearsal, and I was like, this isn't quite right. And
Yep.
I'm so glad it settled where it settled.
me too.
Because it feels really important
Yeah.
to me. What job does Valerie have? Do you remember this? This was an early draft.
Oh, fuck, what was it? She had like a really cool job. Was it an ad agency or something? No.
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 She was
working on her
a writer
computer.
for like Eater LA. She was a food writer.
Oh my God. But we
Valerie's a
never
food writer.
discussed that.
We never discussed that.
And
And
I'm not
uh,
sure I used that for
no.
anything.
Yeah, you're a
I
food
knew I
writer.
was a writer of
Yeah,
something.
Yeah. She's a food writer. So there was another version of this where she was basically like, I'm gonna go sit in the car and I'm gonna watch the front of my house from the car, but we couldn't do that because we didn't want to shoot in a car
Yep.
at night on the street.
Yep.
And so we changed it to the backyard. And she was also just singing the song "My Old Man" by Joni Mitchell, like in the car, but to kind of keep herself awake.
Yep. Anything Joni Mitchell is what I would sing.
Of course.
I love
And
Joni
then
Mitchell.
Angela's character is works in film production, so she was on a shoot.
She was on a shoot, which means that she's gone for a while, which
Yeah,
means
yeah.
I'm alone a lot.
Yeah.
Which means sometimes when you're alone a lot, your thoughts take over.
Mm-hmm. Does he really live in her house?
Ooh, I love this question.
This is a
Because
big
I had
question.
this question to you.
Yeah.
I was
what did
like-
I tell you? You don't have to give it all away.
I don't think you had a definitive answer.
Yeah.
I think you asked me. You're like, what do you think? Little trickery. Little fuckery. Little fuckery.
We're on a water slide.
I don't think you actually gave me a full answer, which was good because
Yeah.
if I was to play Valerie, I don't want to know the answer.
No.
I know what Valerie thought.
Yeah. What did Valerie think?
Valerie 100% believed that you lived in her house.
Yeah.
So to Valerie,
Wow.
you
Didn't know
lived.
that.
Yes. So Valerie, and it's not like lived, but it's like you stayed there a couple times.
Okay.
Like, what is that called? Frogging or something?
Frogging is a real thing. Yeah.
Frogging, tree frog. That's how I took it. Is that Valerie did not think she was going crazy.
Yeah.
She thought for a second, like when you had that moment, like, oh, it's a weird joke. She was like, oh. And I think instead of feeling like she went crazy and that it wasn't true, she was feeling bad. She was like, wow, I do this all the time. I'm so wound up. And she was instead beating herself up
Yeah.
rather than actually thinking, well, that means he doesn't live here. I don't think she ever had a free moment of like, he doesn't actually live here. I think she always
Wow.
believed in the back of her head, I think that he's either been in here or has lived here for like a few nights.
Wow. And yeah, that's wrong. So this helicopter is going to take you away. No, that's fascinating. I can't believe we hadn't discussed that. I probably
We
should have
haven't.
asked you about that, but I think that's really cool. My
What's the answer?
answer that I will give from an actor's perspective is it was really important for Reed to believe that Valerie. It was really important for Reed to believe that Valerie thought that he lived in her house. So I think
That's awesome.
it was a lot of like I'm doing this and I want this to upset her because I know she can't find me. Whether it's she can't find me because I'm not there or whether it's she can't find
See?
me because. Yeah, I know. It's
We
very
never
interesting.
discussed that either.
Yeah.
So,
which also is fucking.
which is also crazy because it's
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah.
That happened because Valerie absolutely believed that you lived there. And even when her wife was like, "Come on, Valerie," she was like, yeah, because she didn't want to expose the truth, which was like that Valerie is like losing it.
Right.
But she never felt she was crazy. She was just like, "Oh my God, of course. I'm a control freak. Like, oh my God, I let this happen." Like, somehow she was blaming the whole situation on herself.
Yeah, totally.
That's how she took it. So she didn't even have the opportunity to let herself be free of the thought that you didn't live there.
Wow.
She couldn't even laugh at it, really.
I saw him leave. And the doors are locked, so he's got to be coming through the yard.
Are you sure you're okay?
I'm fine. I'm just going to catch him and call the cops.
He definitely was like a malevolent spirit, right? Like I do think he existed in a physical realm, and that's why it was important for me for Angela to see him. For Maya to see him, because that was a big moment for me too, because I love her being like, "You're the guy that lives in our house," as in like every couple has like the main characters of their relationship, where it's like, "Oh, you're that guy that we talk about. That's so funny and silly."
Yes.
You know, so it's like the moment at the end, a lot of people are like, "What does Angela mean by yeah?"
Did you hear that? Yeah.
And I was wondering what you think about that.
This is my interpretation of it, is that when Angela heard about this whole thing, she was like, "Oh, fuck." Like, in her mind, she was like, "Yeah, probably. People are fucking weird."
Yeah.
Like, she works on set all day. She's like, "Oh, fuck, another thing I have to deal with." Like, she was like, "Oh, yeah, he probably does live in our house." But I think her and Valerie's relationship is like, Valerie's the one who kind of loses it, and she has to be like, babe, you're cool. So I think when she said yeah, she was like, "I know.
Yeah.
I know. I knew it.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to just like pretend it wasn't happening, man."
Yeah.
That's how I took her yeah.
I like
Because
that
I remember
too.
she said yeah a bunch of times, and I remember
We
when
did
we
do a lot of those.
when we landed on that, when it was like, yeah, it was like, "I know.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna have to deal with this. I'm gonna have to deal with you and all of this."
Like, yeah, we can't go back from this moment, right?
No, we can't go
yeah,
backwards.
now this is going to change our whole life.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I think another interpretation that I kind of warmed up to after we shot it, when I was watching it, that it was just a surprise that I like got a new interpretation of it, because I was like, "Oh, I wasn't seeing this," is Maya wasn't actually listening to Valerie and was still sleeping.
Oh my God. Wait, that's also so funny.
Yes.
That's
Like,
so
it's
funny.
Like the idea that somebody asks something and you're like, "Yeah."
That's so funny. You know what that makes me think of? Like all these people who have all these conspiracy theories of like, "Oh yeah, Marilyn Monroe murdered by JFK," and it's like,
Yeah.
what if it was just
Yeah.
like we make up all this
Yeah.
stuff, and that's so funny to me that she's probably like, "Yeah," but never
Right.
even heard it.
Right.
And Valerie is like, "Knew it."
Well, and that's the anxious soul, right? It's like, for me, it's like, there's a version of this movie where everyone's a bullshitter, everyone's a liar, and Valerie just literally has anxiety, right? And then there's a movie where
Yeah.
there's validity to what's going on. But so many people just go out there and bullshit every day. Reed is a bullshitter for sure.
Yeah, and Val is a believer.
Yes.
So Val
Yes.
believes what is told to her.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And somehow makes it a part of her identity, and somehow makes it a part of her job
Yeah.
and her responsibility.
Yeah.
That's who Val is. And there's a part of me that is her, but like that is her who she is. So unfortunately, she's the one who loses in this situation.
She does. She
Reed
does.
is fucking chilling.
And I want to be clear, like, that monologue at the end with the coyotes, I don't believe that Valerie wins that. Reed won. Reed won the movie. In my
Valerie
opinion.
hasn't. I don't think Valerie wins this entire
No.
short.
It's sad.
So why, No Name? Why does merely knowing I exist ruin your life?
Because I don't want you here. I don't want you in my house.
So just tell yourself I'm gone, and I'll be gone.
I think in her mind, when she's out back, she won.
And if she thinks she won, she won.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
You're doing it.
And if she thinks she won,
She won. That's the thing, though. When he
Ugh,
says,
it gives me chills to be him.
I know.
I hate
When he
that
says the thing of like, well, just pretend I'm gone. a part of her wants to believe it. It's like when you leave a therapy session and you're like, and then you get home and you're like, wait a second.
Wait a minute.
That's like,
It's all still here.
it's all still fucking here.
From pre-pro to distribution, what was the hardest challenge you faced on this film?
That's a you question.
That's a me question. You know, the hardest challenge I would say was getting the right sound mix. We had an unbelievable sound team. Josh Fleury, who's an editor and did our composing and made the trailer and made our poster. That man is
Unreal.
the most talented man in the world.
Unreal.
Rivaled by one of the other most talented people in the world I've ever met, Misha Stanton. They are
Oh,
unbelievable.
unreal.
Um,
Unreal.
Misha has an amazing podcast that is an actual play podcast, and they're a sound mixer. And I actually worked with them on a play when I was 20 years old in college. I wrote a play that was set in the Amazon, and they made an 1.5 hour long soundscape of animals in the Amazon that would randomly go off. That was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. They could
I would
sell
go to
that as-
sleep
as
to
white
that.
noise. It was incredible. And so when I was making this short, I reached out to them and I said, please, 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 please. And they cut me an amazing deal. Everyone cut me an amazing deal. Josh cut me an unbelievable deal. And it was really important to get the sound right. The music to fit the
Yes.
tone.
Yes.
The sound to the random sounds. There's these little dog barkings that Misha puts in early in the movie.
Yes.
That get worse and worse throughout the movie. The ding, ding, dings. That is
I didn't
like
even notice
this
that.
3 to 4 to 5 dings. I don't remember the number, but we were building certain types of anxieties. The soundscape was really, really, really
Unreal.
intense.
Unreal.
And we were working really, really hard on it. There was, in the dream sequence, Misha added this demon growl that he had as a sound effect in the bottom of the screaming of "I live in your house," and it was this really crazy sound effect.
Don't mind me, just living in your house.
It's
It's
so
really, really
good.
cool. So I was really grateful for that, and that I learned in post how to be so patient with your project because it takes a minute. Funniest BTS moment and any bloopers. Do you have any moments for you that you think of?
Well, I will say, when you guys wanted me to be like kind of hysterical,
Oh, I forgot.
remember? Over there, over the fence, you had
Paul.
Paul. Oh my God, it
good
was
buddy
Paul.
already. He was a production.
He was
assistant.
amazing. That fucker held like a weird head, like a doll head, like a weird doll head,
Yeah.
and was like marching it around the fence. And
he
I had
kissed
to,
it.
and he was kissing it, and I was like, and it made me feel so fucking weird inside. That it was like Amanda feeling weird and then Valerie feeling scared, and it then produced this like weird hysteria, which now it's like, Shirley, yeah, now that I know, it was fucking wild.
It's so weird.
It
we
was
did
so wild.
And then I will say that I have two, and I'm allowed.
Yeah, okay, fine, I'll give it to you.
One of them was the fence was a little taller than I was. And we had
This was
to-
a whole thing.
We had to
Whole
line
thing.
Up, we had to line up apple boxes. And apple boxes are wooden boxes that are like a foot tall in a huge line along the fence. And we didn't have enough apple boxes for the length that I was going, which is why I bob a little bit when I'm walking. And it was also precarious, and I couldn't look down. And so someone was holding my hand. So every time Reed is walking by, he's
Was it Mary
bouncing-
Lou?
It was Mary Lou.
And Angela?
And Angela and Paul. And they were holding my
Those
hand
three.
and walking me through. And that was really funny.
And
then,
you're, like,
yeah,
bobbing.
the other moment is right here in the kitchen. Every time Amanda would come out and scream, "Stop!"
Yeah.
For some reason,
Oh,
this is an old
God.
house. This is like a 1929 house. For some reason, the doorbell is right in the kitchen. And every time Amanda would scream, the vibrations of her voice would set off the doorbell.
Ding. Or what was it? Ding dong.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I'd be
something
like,
that.
stop. Ding, 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 ding. Every time.
Oh my gosh, it was a nightmare.
It was a
And we
nightmare.
didn't know what to do. We were like, how do we stop a doorbell from going off?
I don't know I
We
don't.
covered it in
I think we
mass.
covered it and was like, your voice is too like,
Yeah.
it's too much sound waves.
Yeah, it's too much sound waves.
It took us a long time to stop it.
And we should air that footage because that is.
We
really
should. I haven't
funny.
seen it.
I have it somewhere. I think we have scratch audio.
Stay
on
tuned
that.
for BTS bloopers.
Yeah, we'll do some BTS bloopers.
Action.
Stop!
Okay.
And action.
Stop!
Oh shit. Let's cut. Okay. Just maybe try to throw it forceful, but not too forceful to hit the doorbell.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right. Action.
Stop!
How do you feel about fan reactions to the short? We've already talked about this, but
Oh, yeah.
it's been
We
so
love
fun.
them.
Like
Love.
unbelievable. So send us more art. We love it.
We love
Send
the
it our
fan
way.
art. We love the theories. We love any questions. Like it's just that's the kind of I knew this short film would cause like,
Yeah.
huh? Wait.
And I will say this, that's why it's like so emotional and exciting for me to see what's happening with this short
Mm-hmm.
because I submitted this to festivals. It's you wait for a year because when you make a movie in LA, you can't submit it anywhere because if it gets into a festival, festivals usually want this to be the first premiere.
Yes.
So they don't want somebody else to
you to show it to
Yeah,
anyone else or
see it.
post it.
So I wasn't allowed to. So I was sitting around being like, this is a fun movie. I really like this. I did a premiere of it in October for my close friends.
Yeah.
We did it together.
That was wild.
And it was so fun. It was fun to see people like it. And I was like, well, I'll just post it because you know what? I like it and I want it to be out there and I don't need it to be at a festival.
Yep.
I just want it. I made it to be seen and I want
It's
everyone
for
to see the work.
it's for the people.
Yeah.
It's not right now for the festivals. Like I feel like
Yeah.
times are changing and I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, and I will say too, like in our world, short films are not necessarily something that goes viral. The fact that we found people that love short films, I'm so honored. But I posted stuff, a short film, something you work really hard on, something you put a lot of money on. You get 2,000, 3,000 views, and then you're just proud of it and you
Yeah.
leave it. So I
Yep.
didn't expect anything from this. What I will leave it on, because we've been talking long enough. Oh my God, it's been 50 minutes. Oh shit. One question that I have for you,
Yeah.
and a lot of people have, feature film version or sequel, where would you like to see this go if we were to make another one, if there was going to be something else?
Ooh. Oh my God, that's such a good question. There's so many places I could
A
see
lot of
this go.
places.
First thing that's coming to my head, Valerie and her wife are on vacation. And they see Reed.
Oh my God. Oh, I hate that.
They see Reed.
I hate that.
And he doesn't see them.
I hate that.
So roles are reversed.
yeah.
So they see him and he's walking. He's walking around and they catch a glimpse of him and they're like, and I don't think Valerie reveals it to Maya just yet.
Wow.
I think she kind of keeps it in as like, you know, when you see someone at the grocery store, you're like, oh, no, no, no. So she's like, kind of keep it in. It doesn't happen. They see him again. And I don't know where it goes from there, but they're on their vacation. But I want
Exactly.
something to happen where they're
I
in
like that.
close quarters. And finally, for the first time, his face is close to her face.
God, what a loser. I
Yeah.
hate that guy.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's really fun. I've had
What do you
thoughts.
think?
If we're extending the Valerie story, I have some thoughts. I think she'd have to involve other people in the neighborhood. I think we'd get Ring cameras up. I think we'd have to start,
Ooh.
if I had more than $5,000, what would I have done? Like
Oh, stay in the neighborhood. Staying in the
stay
neighborhood is actually
meeting
really
other
fun.
People. One of the other kind of pseudo inspirations in terms of tone was The Invitation, which is an amazing movie.
Such a good
It's
movie.
like a very culty Hollywood Hills
Such a good movie.
vibe. And so something like that. Another thing is seeing other homes, like if it's like a miniseries-esque thing where it's like Reed or other people in this house. you know,
Almost like high maintenance, right? Like each
Yeah.
episode is a different house
Like-
that Reed connects
Yeah.
with.
Or it's just new tenants in this house, and what does Reed do? Or is Reed still here? Or does
Ooh.
Reed come with you? Or does Reed, what is
Yeah.
this?
Does
So
Reed
it's
come with
like-
me or does he come with this house?
Yeah. So it's a big question, but I think he's the kind of guy that he's a trap. The closer you get to him, the more questions you have about him, and that's why you
He's
gotta
poisonous.
leave him alone.
He's
because
poisonous.
If you aggravate him, he just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
He gets bigger and bigger and overtakes your whole life.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a power play for him when he's not really doing much.
Yeah, exactly. That's all he's doing. He loves
Wow. That's what
I know.
I'm going to be thinking about this. But if
Yeah.
you guys have any ideas on this,
Let us know.
let us know
And
because
tell us what 8 times 23 is.
yeah, please. My God, I still don't know.
Do you have any advice for people that are wanting to make films? I keep getting really sweet messages like, "How do I get started? What do I do?" What do you
Oh my
think?
God. I remember like really it was so hard to get started. I remember watching tons of other people's stuff, which ended up making it worse because I
Yeah.
was like, well, it's so good I'll never get like that. And I will say like as hard and it feels like you're walking through molasses, just start.
Yeah.
Just get started and know that this might be bad. It might be bad at first and just kind of throw things against the wall. And I will say getting people that you really vibe with
Yeah.
really, really helps you get started because then you have another person that be like, hey, this is bad, right? Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
But it'll get better.
It will get
And
better.
then you do it and it's literally practice. It's like a fucking muscle. It's like when people say, oh, I'm bad at improv, it's like, yeah, you just have to practice it.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just bad forever. I don't know.
Who knows? But
Just do it.
My whole thing about anything is every time you do something, it's the worst you'll ever be at it, especially if you do it in public.
Yep.
Because if you do it and you're the worst, you ever were, you're going to get notes, you're going to get self-notes, you're going to get other person notes.
Uh-huh.
You'll never be that bad again. That's a relief.
Yes.
Because every time you're done with something, you'll end up better.
Always.
It's a curse because every time you do something, it's terrible.
You're like, I know I can do better than that. So you just get better and better.
Right.
And then sometimes, you'll go backwards and go, wow, I thought
Yeah.
I was doing better, but that one thing is bad.
Yeah.
And then you'll go further with your better.
Yeah, and I would say I never feel better at what I do. I feel like I know more, and that's all. And that's
you
what
know
can
more
rely on.
and you allow yourself to go further.
Yeah, exactly.
And own it.
Yes, I agree. And then I would also just say very simply, get into a community where people are doing the thing that you're also doing.
Yes.
So it could be in a small town, a little film club where people watch movies together. It could be an improv class.
Yep.
It could be a creative writing class. It could be a college course. Just find other people who like to do what you do, that their free time is also their passion, and then go from there and build your people and work with your people and be good to work with.
Yes.
And be nice.
Be
and
nice.
Be supportive and enjoy collaborating.
Be nice and have fun. And if there's an issue, talk about it.
Yeah. And
Talk
we're gonna,
about
we're
it.
going to make something new soon.
Yeah, we
I have a
are.
script that I wrote a year ago that we have to write, that we have to do.
I'm in.
Let's go. All right. Thank you,
Okay, guys. Thank you
Bye.
so much.
I love you.
I love you.
You're the best.
I love you so much.
Okay, bye.
Get out of my
like
house.
and subscribe, but I might not see you another one. Bye. I'll see you later.
Bye.
See ya. Be seeing ya.
We'll be seeing ya.
Be seeing ya.
T?
By the way, don't ask me to wear those outfits. I returned them to Amazon. a
They're
week later.
gone. He got $50 back.